I know. Good morning. Good morning. Yo, yo. Man, the money bring the birds in.
Run it back. Good morning. Good morning. Hey. What you say? Good morning. Hey. Good morning. Get in here. 1 2 1 2 1 2. Get in here. We are live and direct. You know. It's Good Friday with Good Life Russ and your auntie's favorite DJ. We are in the building. Thank you so much. If you love us, go ahead and share this on your page. Good morning. I know you've been waiting, but man, we got some healing things. We got some healing things. Excuse me, popping today. And you know, before the show starts, there is a whole thing that we do before we even go live on air. We really do. We worry about time, but we get our spirits and we get our energies right before we do what we do, man. Because what we do is a little special. You know what I'm saying? And this is why we don't look at the numbers on the upper hand corner. We do energy work. We do mental healing work, and it attracts what we needed to attract. You know what I'm saying? So we went through the whole thing that we do every Friday. Me and Tim, we kind of like get that energy up, and we look at each other like, you ready? let's do what we got to do. So without further ado, Good Life Russ is in the building. What's up, man?
What up, everybody?
Yeah, man.
Friday, man. Like I said, I'm excited about doing Fridays versus Thursdays. I think we got a little more opportunity to carry them into the weekend and get them excited for the weekend, and hopefully that's what we're doing.
Yeah, man. Lot of ignorant stuff happened this week, but a lot of awareness happened this week as well. You know, the whole Israel, Palestine, and all that conflict is still going on, and it amazes me that people are walking around. I don't think they're oblivious. I think it's like if it's not in my front view, then I'm still going to carry on with the rhetoric. I'm still going to carry on with my life. And if it does happen to me, but they don't realize that a lot of the Israelites are now causing chaos right here on American soil. So it's like this could pop up at any time. You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like when you have that many people supporting any topic, you know, it's going to be a disconnect from what's actually happening to what people believe is happening. And I think what's happening now a lot around the world is this new generation, this new era of people. I won't say generation, but this new era of people. We're smarter than we were before. You know what I mean? So we've seen these similar conflicts 10, 20 times, and then they just dissolve and end up to nothing. And they're like, oh, the next two countries are fighting. You know what I mean? So for us, I think we're not so gung-ho to jump in and believe some information without any context or any of the real information. You know
right.
It seems like they just want us to pick sides and then fight with each other about what side we pick.
Man, I mean, and the thing is with that, you're right. When I posted that post about we live in the book of Revelations, I wasn't preaching fire and brimstone. It was really like, really look at the chaos around you. Do we really care about Sexy Red right now? I don't think we care with the housing crisis and in food. I wouldn't say food shortages, but the food price increases. I don't really care about Sexy Red right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. It's preposterous. I think so, but it's like, okay,
yeah,
you know.
But that's what has to be important, and I think that's important that you pointed out. You know what I mean? We're living still in what people call biblical times, ancient times. There's nothing different than what the Romans were doing back in the day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because they had the insight to understand, like, look, civilization outnumbers us. If the people ever wanted to get up and do something, they could do something.
Yeah.
So we got to keep them entertained. We got to keep them busy. They created the Coliseum. We got to give them something to talk about, something to argue about. But it's something that doesn't have much depth or substance. So when we do get in and have conversations, there's no ending. It's the same as, should men and women be 50-50? Like, how long have we really been having that conversation? And where has it gotten?
nowhere.
It's just a distraction, so we don't focus on what's really going on. And what's really going on is people don't have a choice anymore. People are doing what they felt grandma did. People are doing what they think the government wants to do. People are doing what doesn't put them in jail. Like, people don't have a choice anymore of the decisions they're making. And I think that trickles up into the grandparents, you know, especially the topic of the day we're having. When I read it, I thought about that. And it's easy just to say grandmothers aren't being grandmothers anymore. But then I think about my generation and how hard it is to help my generation, because we all give this perception that we're healed, that we don't need no help, that we got it. You know what I mean?
I don't know why.
Can you help someone?
I don't know why.
Asking for help.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, because that's the thing. Is like somebody could tell you, I don't have a broke leg, but I see you limping. Like I see the struggle. So for you to think that, no,
I think it was because they were taught that. And a lot of things, I'll speak for my generation and having talked to some of them. Some I've talked to therapy, some just as friends. But a lot of them have these lessons ingrained in them that they don't know where they came from, because someone just constantly, you know, planted that seed without you realizing they were planting that seed. And it's the issue I think a lot of kids have with both parents is sometimes it feels like you're demonizing one parent trying to defend the other one. And then you get older and realize the one you was defending low-key was the one in the wrong. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of these people, I won't even say women, a lot of men and women grew up in that, you know, men ain't ish era. And I don't need no man, and I can do this all on my own. And I think people were digesting that lesson without any context to it. So then all they started to see is, I don't need no man. I can do this on my own. And it created this whole generation of overly exaggerated independent. Because a lot of these people aren't independent. You just give off the perception that you're independent.
So let's talk about the real subject, because I wanted to tell you, this is the Good Life, Good Friday show. This is Good Life Russ show. So he is now taking over topics, right? You know, this is the Lane Love Morning Show blanket. This is Good Friday. So when we meet on Monday, shout out to Walisa, who will be back shortly. We huddle on Monday, and because Tim is tapped in, I said, you know what, Tim, let's take this in a different direction. What are you feeling? And let's go from there. So I come up with the top topics, right? But Tim is really talking about protecting your peace. So it all kind of goes into this topic, and we're going to break this down. So we're starting with grandmothers. And yes, grandmothers are protecting their peace because raising children is chaotic. Good morning, Trinae. Good morning, Adrian. Thank you guys so much for tapping in. Thank you so much. It is chaotic, especially if it's an every weekend thing. And then grandma see that you're not handling your responsibility. Like, I can help you. I don't want to take over. And that's how I protect my peace as a grandmother. Now, according to what you said, let's talk about the fathers and grandfathers getting a bad rap.
Yeah.
They don't so much want to protect their peace, but they want to be heard to say, hey, this factory job didn't pan out the way that I thought it would, or I got fired and it has become difficult to raise my family financially to a place where I once was, but nobody wants to hear that from them. So it's like, well, what do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that grandfathers from the South used to provide for generations to come. When we died, we had the $1 million policies, and therefore, and the land and the things that could be distributed to keep the assets in the family. But these things are depleting because we have been getting systematically robbed. But we're demonized. Thank you for the word. We're demonized like we ain't shit, because how much nagging can we take? How much ridicule can we take before we was like, because I'm telling you, no man is going to stay where he is not respected. And I know that it's so easy for people to say, well, you know, you should have that on the side. You shouldn't react to certain things. You shouldn't do that. Certain things and certain words are going to get a man to react, or, you know, walk away or do whatever. So now, like you said, the demonized aspect of it is like, no, wait, I just wasn't heard out. And then give me time. Give me time to rebound. Give me time to do this. But we automatically get this label put on us that you ain't no good, or you ain't never, or you've been selfish or something like that. Like, you don't know what the end is going to be yet. So again, the whole blanket of protecting my peace, when people are getting beat down or what they perceive as abuse, grandma's like, you know what, baby, I can't do it. I need I'm still working. I'm still, because I'm young, right? I'm not old grandma. I'm 45 and I'm a grandma. I still have 20 years to retire. So I don't want to work a 40, 50 hour week. And then on the weekend, you know, and I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot, but I don't want to work that 50-hour week and do what I used to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to relax. I want to kick it.
And that's I think the irony of what happened. And this is why, you know, it's a societal plight. I won't even put it on the whole world. It's a Western plight that men and women have to butt heads and go against each other. And the irony is a lot of the grandmas are getting to these conclusions because they're actually learning from their counterpart. They're learning from the grandfather. A lot of the big mamas was just giving everything away. You know what I mean? And they was worrying if the kid even had money. So they're like, oh, I'm just going to send them some money. Mm-hmm. Grandpa, like, no, first you're going to have to come ask for the money and tell me what you need it for. And then
was there anything wrong with that?
Once I give you the money, you're going to have to take out some trash because you're going to have to earn this money. I'm not just giving it to you. So I think a lot of the grandmas are learning from that lesson. They like, nah, if you want it, you got to ask. And once you ask, you're going to have to do something for me. You got to clean something up. You got to run me to the grocery store. You're going to have to work for this money. Because we've given it away so many years for free. And what it does is create entitlement. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It doesn't create encouragement for you to go do it on your own. It creates this almost expectancy. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what got removed. But it was fitting because we were dealing with my generation who was the overly independent. Oh, I don't need no help. I don't need grandma. I don't need parents until you actually get in the jam.
Can we put a bookmark right there? And the reason for the early independence, right? Yeah. And I blame Generation X and the hip hop generation is because in the 80s, you've seen a lot of independent drug dealers now, you know, seeing their parents on drugs, you know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So and then people like myself, I wasn't selling drugs, but I was holding down the house because I was working a job and going to school. Yeah. So I was helping with groceries and I was putting gas in the car. Hey, let me borrow $40 from you until the end of the week. You know what I'm saying? So now with that came a sense of entitlement. Like, oh, shoot, mom need to borrow money from me. Exactly. Mom need help on the bills and I'm grown. So check this out. To your point, you can't go out on Friday night. What you mean I can't go out on Friday night? I pay bills up in here.
Exactly.
And I'm 16 years up. Am I lying?
Right.
I pay bills up in here. So now comes the spirit of independence, as Tim so eloquently put it, the spirit of independence in our Generation X, to where it's like, now I've had this early responsibility of being an adult early. I'm a little girl and I'm raising my brothers and sisters. Exactly. No, you can't tell me nothing. So that's what you said. The mentality came is like, I'm grown early. So I'm okay early. I'm independent early. You can't tell me, but you're really not. You don't still have the tools. You've just done activities that, you know, look like you had it all together. So now as teenagers, you got money, you're having bills, you're having sex, you're doing all the elements of an adult, but you still don't have the mentality yet that you still need that you still need big mama and grandma for.
And that's why protecting your peace is so important.
Talk to them.
We have to understand, like, we aren't insects. You know what I mean? Like, we have thousands of functions we got to do a day. We have hundreds of thoughts and intrusive ideas that we have to check every single day. So everything has that two sides. That was the duality of the independence movement. That's why I just don't blame it on the younger people. Because as we've seen for your generation and the generation before, shit, y'all had some balls. You know what I mean? Like, you would come to Big Mama like, look, I messed up the bag. My wife gonna have to get another job. The kids can't go to college. I need your help. And when you do that enough and people are just ridiculing you about how you got here and you keep making the same mistake, a part of that is going to make you not eager to go tell people your issues. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. When we already should live in a reality to where we can't even share most of our deepest stuff with most people. there should be a small circle of people that you can have this with. To me, those are your relationships. Those are your family. That's your boys. You know what I mean? And even then, it comes to they also have to protect their peace because sometimes we just don't. And sometimes we just tell everybody everything that's going on, even things we can't fix, things we've been dealing with 10 years that we have no clear ending, and we're just bringing people into that struggle. Sometimes we do need to be independent and go through that on our own. So this was the thing. We weren't taught independence or not independence. We weren't taught moderation. We weren't taught how to find the middle of what we need to do. So a lot of times our generation, we stay away from it. If it is money revolving, I really don't know how to ask you. I just won't say nothing about it. You know what I mean? Instead of 2 generations ago, they gonna come tell Big Mama, like, look, I got 1 sock to my name. I got negative $20. Like, I need some help. And that to me was a healthy place, but it was met with so much ridicule and talking down on people in this intellectual superiority. You know what I mean? That's what a lot of people talk from. Like, they talking down to you and you just learning this lesson on your road. So I think we got away from teaching the lessons through giving the money. We just start giving money and get out of here.
Can we break down something? I would like you to break this down, Tim.
Absolutely.
Peace looks different than it did 30 years ago because grandma's peace was the kids being close to her.
Right.
The grandkids being close. That was her peace. Like, she didn't want to be in the house by herself.
Right.
She wanted something to do. She wanted to bake them grandkids cookies and stuff like that, you know. And because grandfather did provide for her, you know, she could stay home and be that domestic that she wanted to be, right? But as we stated before, you can't even call a grandma now grandma. She wants to be called, you know, Meemaw, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Or just something sexy. So, you know, the more sexuality came into play into these generations, we didn't want to look like grandmas no more. We didn't want to be referred to as old. Like, getting old now is a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? And getting old is not something that they really took thought in, or people didn't put a negative connotation on getting old. But now there's a whole negative connotation on being old. So now peace looks different to people. Peace looks like now it's like I've gotten away from family. I go on vacations all the time. I travel around the world. I don't have to be bogged down being a mom. I don't have to be bogged down being a dad. So break down how peace got or evolved into what it used to be into what it looks like now.
Yeah, there always has to be a catalyst. There's always going to be an action and a reaction. You know what I mean? That's how I look at life. I don't walk into a store and I see a sign that says no shoe, no sirs, no sir. You know what I mean? Without somebody walking in here naked one day. Like, something has to happen for that boundary to be set in place.
Okay.
So to me, what happened, family across the board, not just grandmother, families were objectified. Families were forced into their role. And in my experience, the kids that I see, and when I was younger and I had a really good relationship with my grandmother, it's because I wanted to be there.
Right.
And the other kids I knew, they had to be there. Mom and dad got to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or we going out of town. Or whatever. Grandma's the only one who want to watch your ass. You know what I mean? Like, you had to be there. And as we all get older, like, family becomes a choice.
Right.
You can't force me to go to grandma's house when I'm grown.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it was so many people who, that negative seed of you have to be there versus I'm teaching you this can be a luxury.
Right.
This can be a good thing. But to you in that forced position, it starts feeling like a punishment.
Yeah.
It starts, you know what I mean? Like, man, grandma's bad. I get sent there when I'm being bad. Or grandma don't have no TV. She ain't got nothing to do in her house. You sending me here to punish me.
Yeah.
And I got all this you done put in my room. You send me there so I don't play the game all day. You know what I mean? But they're not associating family time or me and grandma.
Right.
In the child, the kindness of their heart, once you're around grandma enough, you're going to talk to her. You know, you're going to help her out. You're going to do it. But you still got this kind of attitude, like you got to drag through it. Like, I really don't want to be here, grandma, but I have to.
Right.
And that weighs on a person. You know what I mean? Know how that feels. Somebody constantly comes to your house, but they feel like they don't want to be there. Or you're constantly trying to help people, give them money, give them food, and it seems like they don't want it. They're not that hungry.
You touching something.
You reading that. You know what I mean? That's a form of communication. So I think it gets to the point of peace where that's human nature. Like, eventually enough is enough for everybody. And everyone has their different reckoning point, but eventually enough is enough.
And you know why it's enough? Because these 18-year-olds are tired of acting like prison sentences.
Yeah.
Like, damn, was I a prison sentence to you? Like, oh, now that I'm 18, you're free from me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was a bill this whole time. I wasn't a human being.
Yeah.
I wasn't a person to care for. I was a bill. So the care stops at 18. You know what I'm saying? So this is what not even millennials, but this is what Gen Z feels like. Man, I might as well wild. I ain't nothing but a bill to her anyway. You know what I'm saying? I might as well hang out till 3. I ain't really nothing to come home to. You know what I'm saying? My mom doesn't engage with me. You know what I'm saying? She lets me be on my phone 8 hours a day or whatever. You know, what is there to engage? You know, she'll throw me some food and clothes every now and then, but to actually do an activity with me and to actually engage, these kids aren't getting that. So like you said, it's like it's going both ways. The parent is trying to protect their peace because it's so chaotic to take care of a family, especially when the majority of it, let's keep it real, man. The majority of either male or female, I don't know what the ratio is, but a lot of these parents are raising these kids by themselves. So there is no peace to protect because I try to give it to, give the babies to grandma just for a couple of days. I ain't babysitting shit. I got to go out. In the words of Bernie Mac, God rest his soul, I ain't babysitting shit.
And that's the best thing that could have happened because we talk about that all the time on the show. And a lot of people who I've talked to this day and age didn't get to experience a big mama. You know what I mean? Like I say on the show, I grew up around elders. Like most of the people I grew up were 3 to 4 times older than I was. So for me, because millennials still felt the same way that like Gen Z's getting it from somewhere. We felt the same way. The difference is we had Big Mama. We had somebody to focus that energy on. So when things wasn't going right with my parents, I said, you know what? I'm going to be a stand-up person for my grandma and grandfather. I'm going to honor them. Because I didn't know how to honor my parents. You know what I mean? I didn't want to honor my parents because of how things went. So we had that crutch. That's what Gen Z's lacking. They don't have that grandparent line so they can be like, I'm doing it for grandma. So if they're not doing it for mom or dad, they probably not doing it. They don't know to do it.
Why? I want to know from you.
Yeah,
Generation.
why? Because
let me explain why. Why? Help me to explain why millennials felt that way about their Generation X parents when I know we've gone down this road, but do you really feel that your parents set out to harm you?
It wasn't that they set out to harm me. I think what we're saying is there's a million ways to do things. And you become problematic when you're certain and you're stuck on this one way of doing it. And you become certain that this one way works. And then you have a whole generation of children who's going to grow up and figure out if it worked or not. So then, do you have the accountability to admit your way was wrong? And why weren't we trying other ways from the beginning? See, that was my personal situation.
Okay.
So it got to the point where everything that happened as a family was thrown up in my face. Like if we didn't go on a vacation, it's because I didn't have good grades. And then I later grew up and found out all these things were lies. Y'all were having financial and marital problems. So it's time to talk about that. Yeah. Again, with grandma's generation, grandma did not lie to us. She told the truth. Even if she was going to help you and she said you still need to get your life together, Rondell, she going to tell you the truth. She's not going to sugarcoat.
And that's what I don't think you guys understand. She told the truth to y'all because this is why the Generation X would look at the baby boomers like, is this the same person? Like, come here, let grandma give you some candy. I'm like, this ain't the same grandma. This ain't my mama. But this ain't my dad.
And to me, and I know we would have two different eyes as a generation looking at it, but to me, that's what's supposed to happen. That's a good thing.
Okay.
And that's why the millennials have an issue with our parents, because you realize either with the older kid or how you treated your parents, it wasn't right. And then you went on to do it to us.
They made an adjustment. Grandparents made it,
And then you're doing it to our kids. Like, do you not understand this ain't right? I'm telling you it's not right.
Who's going to stop it?
That person has to be the one to stop it. That was the difference to Big Mama. That's why their generation was a Big Mama. And prior to, it's because they wanted to help a kid with no context or no insight. They didn't even have to know you. They could see you were hungry and just knew spiritually you were supposed to be fed. To me, with our parents' generation, there had to be a reason. Or there was an excuse why we weren't being fed. You dig what I'm saying? That's the difference. Oh, well, we had to get this new house. We got to have a roof over your head. I didn't ask for this new house.
This is the thing. Hold on. It makes
You
it
can't
makes
use your choices as an excuse against my life. That's not fair.
Oh my God. When we run into this all the time, I want to read this comment, but I want to address what Tim just said. It makes them uncomfortable discussing certain topics with you if they feel like you tear them down. Get up on it in here, read the comments, put your comment in the comment. We're reading the comments today. We're going to work some stuff out today, man. This is a hot topic. And I'm about to go in on Tim real quick because we this is where me and Tim divide. And I'm telling you, we're getting ready to divide right now. So get ready, strap on, because I'm saying, Tim, if I grew up in this condition under these circumstances, I am not wrong for trying to make your life better by any means necessary, whether financially or even putting you in activities that I didn't get put into, trying to make things better and shift the direction based on doing everything different. So yes, I am running from my past by giving you opportunities and environments that I was not privy to.
So I hear you saying you're not wrong, but how does that make you right?
Oh my
it makes
God.
it right to you.
Yes.
Again, we're talking about a whole group of people. You can't just isolate yourself and give your anecdotal opinion about how something feels and then tell other people they can't feel this way.
Right.
So both of what we're saying should apply then. But see, how you're saying it is what I'm saying doesn't apply. Not once did I disregard anything my parents' generation went through or said, okay, you could have very well thought you was doing better for me because you got a house. But that doesn't make that reality, especially when I'm a parent and I've raised my kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. I got 6 kids. My parents had 3. You needed a house we didn't have room for, to pay bills we didn't need, to just later justify us not having money because you spent all the money. You chose this house. Am I being honest or not? Did I pick the house at 3? Did I say, oh, this is a nice neighborhood, let's move here? Or did you choose this house?
I chose that.
So if there's a hole in the ceiling, whose fault is it?
Of course it's mine.
So what's any difference than this? So how are you not understanding what I'm saying?
The reason I'm not understanding is because at certain times, millennials are not even given grace or appreciation that we took this step. And this is what I'm saying is like, how are we demonized or villainized? Because yes, you got to think some of the wealth in the 90s was first generational wealth.
Right.
This is the first time this money has been distributed to us. So we don't know about, predatory lending. We don't know about none of this stuff. We're like, oh, all I got to do is sign on the dotted line. I got a house. We don't know that this interest rate is going to jump up to 12% and cause, our mortgage rate to jump up. Now we do got to get extra jobs. We're spending more time away and, we're racking up credit card debt because now African Americans are getting lines of credit, $5,000, $10,000, and we're like now able to afford the computers and send you on field trips that we were, our story when we was coming up was like, Mom, I want to go to DC. How much is it? It's $800. Well, I ain't got that kind of money. You know what I'm saying? But now we got it. Oh, we have access to it. Mm-hmm. So now we don't know. We're not financially smart, but all this money is being given to us. So yeah, we look at it as like, this is an opportunity to provide for you guys.
Yeah, but it was also an opportunity to teach us how to be irresponsible. And a lot of the irresponsible behaviors we picked up, where do y'all think we learned that from? But who do you think catches the butt end of that? We do. Oh, you coming to me needing money again? I grew up watching you need money from your dad. What's any different than me needing money from? But I'm demonized for it. See, grandma and grandpa just gave you the money and maybe it came with a lecture.
They did.
But I'm demonized for doing the same thing that you did. Again, I grew up in that generation. There were people with their cigarettes in their ear pushing DARE, telling kids not to smoke. How, Slay? You're not qualified to give that message. You can't teach someone something you don't know. And you can't hold someone accountable when you're not holding yourself accountable. So I understand what you're saying, but again, that's not my fight. Your beef with your parents is not your child's fight. You should heal that before you ever start having children.
Right.
And if there was everybody in y'all's generation that didn't get it financially, that would be a perfect excuse. But there was plenty of parents who knew better financially. So then that does not excuse the ones who don't. That means you should have went and got the information. But we found time for partying. We had Freaknik in Atlanta. We had all these events. We had the BET Awards. We had people leaving their families to go across the town to follow some band, to follow some sporting team. But y'all made that happen. That was important. So learning financial adequacy was not important when you had a child, a whole nother human being that's not just a bill or a toy or something you can pick up and put down. So that was our beef. If you didn't go on field trips when you were a child, you're like, all right, I'm going to send my kid on field trips. What if I just wanted to spend time with you? And now you're trying to tell me, well, your life's going to be better because I'm sending you on field trips and I never went to go on them. What if I just wanted you at home, but you can't now because you work 2 jobs to put me on that field trip? The irony. And then you blame me for not caring about the field trip when I just wanted you.
But okay,
that don't make sense to me.
You definitely brought some points, but then there were a lot of kids who, and still even in your generation, when they went to school and they were still part of the remnants of what we were going through.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen some of your generation. Damn, I can't have the Jordans. My mom can't afford this. You know what I'm saying? She's home all the time, but she's on the welfare system. But she's home. Right. So, oh dang, I wish I could have went to DC, or I wish I could have went to the field trip in New York. But I'm spending my summer here, on the block. So now I'm subject to, whatever Ray and Pookie are doing on the block. So, you know what I'm saying? 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. You know what I'm saying? It's like you make great points, but there are some benefits to getting access, to getting in these programs. And when we did what we could, even if it was work 2 or 3 jobs, to make sure Tyrone was able to get into Pop Warner football, and I get that a lot of our generation would put these pressures on these little kids to do well in sports and all this stuff, like to put a whole ton of undue pressure where you better do good in school or you ain't gonna get no scholarship or this, that, and the other. This is a whole, because I was that parent, you know what I'm saying? Like when we lost the money in 2008 for the crash, it was like, listen, that school money gone. Yeah. Everything that I've invested, it tanked, you know what I'm saying? So listen, and you got 5, because I know realistically, I can't raise that money in this time in 3 to 4 years. So listen, and now I know I shouldn't have had that conversation. I should not have had that conversation with them that early. You know what I'm saying? But this is what's happening is like, man, we just want y'all to be so much better and have so many more opportunities and advantages that we didn't have coming up in the 80s and stuff like that. So let's swing this back around for a second. So with everybody pointing fingers, Gen X pointing the finger at baby boomers, millennials pointing the finger at millennials. Now Gen Z is pointing the finger at, millennials. This is where I think it's the unhealthy protecting the peace, because in comparison to a family that I know, no matter what they go through, they still stay together. They still find time to at least talk things out. You know what I'm saying? They still find time to do things, as to where my family, the minute we don't F with you, we might not talk for 2 or 3 years. We might, and we call that protecting our peace, because everybody's looking at each other as toxic. You're toxic. You're toxic. And nobody is looking at themselves and saying, you know what? So therefore, wasted years go by. Mm-hmm. Only to come to find out that all you had to have was a conversation, self-reflection and a conversation. And then we didn't have to do this. You know what I'm saying? So all this peace that you want to protect, we could have done activities. We could have had the family reunion. We could have had Christmas together and things of that nature. But it's just so much finger pointing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it has to be, because again, when someone's had enough, they're tired. All this stuff ain't new. Our generation's been created. It's been here. People haven't been dealing with it. That's why I would actually say healing has come a very long way. Especially the dynamic between my generation and our kids. It's a whole completely different dynamic. Not saying it's better or worse. It's just different.
Yeah.
So healing has changed. Everything has changed. Parenting has changed. And my comment to your generation, when you're saying it feels like, let's say things are unproportionate now with how we view our parents. There's a reason for that. See, that's the difference with my generation. We do things intentionally. None of this is random. We're making these choices, even when it doesn't look like we know what we're doing, but we're choosing that outcome. And the reason it's unproportionate because my generation, what I hear, what I've experienced in myself, is we gave all that love up front when it wasn't warranted. We gave that respect and that authority up front when it wasn't warranted. When parents wasn't even in the house, kids were still loving their parent. I got the best dad ever. He's a superhero. And he don't even want to be a dad. But you already look at him as Superman. So you've already given him enough love, enough pain, enough anger. So when you get older and someone's like, all right, I'm ready to be a dad now, I can't just flip that switch back on and start looking at you like a superhero again. You spent all these years showing me you didn't even want to be a dad. And I held you to the standard of being a dad. I told my friends I had a good dad. I was out acting like I had a good family. We already paid that credit. That's why a lot of our parents' generation don't feel like they getting it. You got it up front and you did nothing with it, most people. So it's not right to ask for it again. That's like me giving you a bunch of money, you don't use none of it, you spend it, you're like, okay, where's my next money? Like, what happened to the first installment? We ain't gonna talk about that. And that's what we mean. We don't feel like a lot of people hold themselves accountable. This ain't the first go around for a lot of us. We've seen this our whole lives.
Well,
we have to pretend like this is a new issue that just came up. Like, nah, this has been happening our whole lives.
Hold on, Tim, because see, the thing is, and I want you to have an open mind, right?
Absolutely.
When we got those stimuluses,
yeah,
right? Okay, so Big Mama didn't know what Jamaica looked like,
for the most part, right?
Bermuda, or
right.
Mexico, Cancun. Big Mama, her vacation was maybe a trip to go see Gertrude down south. Am I wrong?
Oh, that's her best trip.
So when the stimuluses start rolling out and the earned income credit start rolling out, which was a 90s thing, let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. This is where single moms were now equipped with $10,000 in their pocket at one time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, it's spring break. Now, you know, it's supposed to help the kids and stuff like that. But now, hey, it's spring break in Daytona, you know what I'm saying? Or in Miami or whatever. So, like you said, with a whole lot of misinformation and not a whole lot of instruction, yeah, we saw the money as opportunities to do things that we never did before. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you know, we are going to buy this 4 or 5 bedroom house because Miranda Homes is giving it to us, but they're not telling us about the fine print. You know what I'm saying? Like in 5 years, this interest rate is going to jack up, and this is what your mortgage payment is going to be. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or anything like that. Or it's home repairs and things that come with it. So this is, I won't even call it first generation of wealth. I just call it first generation new money. You know what I'm saying? Because grandma, she pieced her pennies together. Mm-hmm. She struggled to say, I'm going to sacrifice my life, not just this portion of my life, but my life. But with grandma, what we didn't know grandma was doing is like when we had to eat beans on Wednesday, or when we had to, you know, eat whatever scraps there was, grandma was taking that little money and putting that on her life insurance policy. Grandma was taking that little money and putting that in her little savings account that she would meet with the white man at the corner desk in the bank, and he would be instructed on, okay, this is what's going to happen when you die. How do you want this money? This, that, it. So all of a sudden, you know, again, grandma passes away late 80s, early 90s. Where $50,000 come from? Where $100,000 come from? You know what I'm saying? But now, grandma, we don't know what to do with this. Let's go out of town. Let's go on vacation. Mm-hmm. Let's buy a new house. So no, because all we knew was grandma struggling. All we knew was grandpa struggling, working at the factory, 2 factories, work 8-hour job here, 8-hour job there, always tired. Grandpa always tired, but he sacrificed his whole life and left us with $100,000 or what have you. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't know what to do with that money.
But I disagree. And y'all did know what to do. And what grandparents teach you also is how to be frugal. So wanting to spend a lot, you didn't learn that from your grandparents. We didn't learn that from Big Mama. Because even when she got that $10,000, she was still going to Schottenstein. What generation start going to Gucci and Louis and Prada and Rolex? Do we need to keep going? Grandma ain't had no Rolls Royce. Who needed to keep upgrading their car every year? Where'd that come from? Because they didn't teach y'all that.
Rap music.
So again, So
rap
my
music.
generation is hearing all this, and we're simply still asking, where does the accountability kick in? It sounded like it was everybody else's fault, and we still ain't got to the bottom. Now it's rappers' fault. So when does the accountability kick in?
Yeah, I mean, you're
We were shown a lot. Whether you do it or not is irrelevant, and that's how the student acts. They act like the teacher didn't teach them nothing because you didn't have the ability to learn the lesson, but they were teaching because we were learning. We were picking up on these things, and that was the differential. That was when the family started to be split up because there was a younger generation who had their own voice, there was a middle generation who had their own voice, and there was a higher generation who had their own voice, and none of them were on the same line. They were all talking at the same time.
right.
So then the older generation and younger are trying to connect, and the middle's trying to heal. And while we're still shifting, because the younger generation's having kids now. So we're all keep shifting in places, don't even know what place we're supposed to be in. It is because the older generation has been getting systematically pushed out for years, and no one has addressed that. They've been getting pushed out the workforce. They've been getting pushed. The only thing that they're allowed to have is a position of power, like, say, in the government, like, let's say, in the mob. And to me, that's only because people can trick them. Because they're forgetful, because they're not as on the ball anymore. So you're keeping them there to take advantage. So you constantly have this generation that's being taken advantage of.
So that being said, I think millennials are consciously aware, but they're still doing the same actions that their parents are doing. Right. I see a lot of, for lack of a better term, I see a lot of millennials fucking off money.
Right.
And it's a rippling effect, but you guys are just more conscious. So I see a lot of millennials good at reading people, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And understanding the rhetoric of where the fault and a lot of the blame lies. But then I look at millennials, I'm like, well, y'all fucking off money too.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Because we still got time to do that.
Oh, damn.
I mean, we do. Let's pull somebody from your generation. Let's look at Muhammad Ali. And again, these sayings were based on your generation. Okay. The man who lives the same way at 50 as 20 wasted 30 years of his life. So you're trying to judge us on a 50-year scale, and we're 30. Most of us ain't even in our 40 yet. Why would I be in the same competition as you as far as handling money and being financially responsible when you've handled money damn near longer than I've been alive? Well, what I'm saying is this, Tim. When do you think we was fucking off money? When we was your age? They still fucking off money now. But what do you mean? What has changed? The black dollar is still being spent now, and it's still one of the powerful forms of currency in the country, but it's still being wasted. Where ownership do we have to show for that? Oh man! So how is that not? And I'm not saying it's all your fault, but how are you not responsible? We have a lot of people waking up, right? Man. So then if you don't know any better, you can't criticize someone 20 years younger than you when you don't even know any better. How does that work? That's the only thing my generation's saying. We're not saying all y'all got to be rich. We're saying, how are y'all still struggling, trying to teach us how not to struggle? That doesn't compute. That's what doesn't make any sense. Well, the only thing that we're saying is that there's fire ahead. Okay, so these 18% interest rates, don't buy that car. And whatever you do, I know you probably need a car, but don't buy that car. You know what I'm saying? But guess what? You know, people don't believe grits is groceries and eggs ain't poultry. So they're going to buy that car anyway. You know what I'm saying? Because it's out of place, though. You got to tell somebody that is 16, not 32. We tried. I disagree. Our generation, they took driving out of school for us. We didn't have home ec when I was in high school. Who tried? My generation wasn't being taught how to drive. We were still in cars. There wasn't a parent in the house to teach us how to. Who was teaching us how to drive? What I'm talking about is when you graduate from college and you don't have, or when you graduate from high school and you don't have that credit yet, but then, you know, next thing you know, that 18 or 19 or 21-year-old is driving up like, okay, you know, you didn't take me with you, but, you know, you sat down with that man and he done, you know, got you all excited and everything, got you signed on that dotted line. Boom. Because go back to what we said. I'm independent now. You can't tell me shit. But even in their independence, their parents had them building credit since 16. How many parents didn't even know that you could do that? That's my point. So how are you saying all these kids learn something, but clearly the parents don't know it? So how did they teach the kids something they don't know? And the kids who had good credit at 18, they were already authorized users on their parent credit card since 16. They had 2 years of building credit based on everything you did, they got credit for. Okay. How many parents did that for their kid? Because that's teaching them how to use credit. Not saying, oh, well, if you go open a credit card, don't overspend. That's not teaching somebody something. That's trying to make them weary of it. Teaching them is giving them every piece of information to help them be successful. Exactly. So therefore, it's the difference between, you know, somebody who has just finished school and somebody who's been in the business for 10, 15, 20 years. So you know a lot, right? Based on
me establishing credit for you at 16. But don't go out here and get in front of this man because he has the experience, so he can see the bright-eyed, bushy-tailed person, and he's going to get you to sign on his 12%, 18% interest rate, and you don't have that scruple yet. Take me with you. So you don't know everything.
So maybe that's the disconnection, because what you're talking about is instruction, not education. Education is me giving you the information and allowing you to make a choice, not telling you what choice to make. That's
okay.
I teach my kids how to drive so they don't go out and drive. I teach them how to drive because they may get behind the wheel of a car when I'm not around, and I need them to be safe and everyone around them. That's the difference. Yeah. But again, how you just explained it was how I grew up being taught things. That's not teaching me any. Don't touch that. That's not teaching somebody something. You got to explain them why you don't touch it. You got to explain them other options to things they can touch. You can't just tell someone not to do it, then get upset when they don't do it. That's not logical. And again, that's what we grew up in. That's what my generation is saying. We were not taught anything, because that's not education. That's fear. You're trying to scare me out of making a mistake you made. That's not education.
Fear is good sometimes.
I mean,
fear is good.
Fear is good when it's self-inflicted, not when someone else is trying to make you afraid. That's the worst kind of fear that you can experience.
So what are warning signs, Tim?
Warning signs are, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me go get some help.
I disagree because I made
That's a warning sign.
No, a warning sign is I made these roads, or I've traveled these roads. There is danger up ahead because I made the roads, right?
Yeah, for you, not for me. You can't tell me. You can't make a path for me.
If you're my child.
No, that's not parenting. You give me the insight. You give me the education, and you trust that I go out and use it for all of your teachings. No. Yes. Look at where parenting is. I mean, no, your generation is not qualified to teach us about parenting.
Go back to what you said. Go back to what you said. You didn't ask at 3 years old to live in this house.
Right.
But you trust me to know that I'm protecting you.
I didn't trust you. I had no other choice. I was 3. If I trust you, I would still be. If I trust you,
you can't have it both ways.
How? If I trust you, I would still be living under your roof. If I couldn't wait to get out of there at 16 or 18, that means maybe I did not trust your way. How is that happening both ways? I didn't have a choice at 3. That's my point. You can't blame me for something I did not have a choice in. When I got older, I had a choice. I left. I haven't been back since. But when I was 3, I was 3. I couldn't feed myself. I can't change myself. I can't make money. I depended on you. But that's not the same as a relationship. And that's where I feel like our parents' generation got it twisted. You thought your kid is in the house all the time. Oh, they got to be here. They don't have to. They don't have to rock with you just because you're their parent.
You got to a point, is what I'm saying. You got to a point of mistrust. But when I'm saying at that 3 years old, when you counted on me, and we're speaking hypothetically, you guys.
Yeah.
When you counted on me and you gave me that Christmas list and I got everything on that Christmas list, you trusted that, right? When you got what you wanted, you trusted that, hey, I got, because this is what I'm saying. Going back, bad reference, but I still got to say it. Bill Cosby, chocolate cake. Hey, Dad is great because he gave us chocolate cake for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? The minute, Dad makes you eat your vegetables or something like that, now he's the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I'm saying about picking and choosing. When you're getting what you want, okay, there's still a trust there. And I love Mom and Dad because they're giving me what I want. They're spoiling me. The minute that there's some discipline in it, or there's some, let me steer you in this direction, or don't do that. You know what I'm saying? This, that, and the other. Oh, now, I'm projecting and I'm doing all this stuff like that. No, you can't have it both ways.
But you created a lane that you live in both ways. By your whole analogy, chocolate cake also comes with cavities. So is it your fault now that their teeth are rotting out their mouth?
We just wanted to be cool, Dad, for a morning.
But you're not answering my question.
I'm answering
Is it your fault now that their teeth are rotting out of their mouth by giving them chocolate cake in the morning?
For one Saturday?
You still haven't answered my question. Is it your fault or not that their teeth are falling out of your mouth because you?
How do you come to that conclusion?
Because you gave them chocolate cake for breakfast.
One Saturday?
Once you gonna tell me that little routine is one Saturday? That's a routine. That's tradition. That's how you presented it. This is something that Dad does. This is a tradition. This ain't one time, one again. This is how it is talking to our parents' generation.
Okay.
You do this for 10 years, but you only remember the one time you did it. This was in my life for 10 years.
Let's go to the scenario.
You don't get to degrade that because you're referencing yourself.
No, let's go to
That's not fair.
No. Okay, so I'm going to make it right in a wrong situation. I'm going to make it right. So this was a particular Saturday where maybe I was working 5 days a week. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired. It's Saturday morning. So this is the actual analogy from Bill Cosby. This is the actual analogy. I'm tired. You come to me 7 o'clock in the morning. Dad, we're all up. Can we have some chocolate cake? It's like, man, I could get up and cook bacon and eggs and all this stuff like that. But all these kids want is some chocolate cake. Now, mom over here sleep too. She could easily get up but she's tired too. Even if she's a domestic, okay? Even if she's a domestic, she's tired too. But I get up first. So, Dad, like, if it's chocolate cake you want and I get some peace and quiet, I go back to sleep. It's chocolate cake you gonna get. Now, let me finish the analogy. Mom wakes up, right? Like, I can't believe you gave these kids some damn cake. What is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? But Dad is looking like, well, you got your sleep. I got my sleep. It's one Saturday. I'm not going to give these kids cake every week. You know what I'm saying? So what is the problem?
The problem is the reference, the rhetoric. Everything sounds like what people say all the time. Oh, it's just one drink. I won't have another. That's not realistic. Again, first let's start by being realistic, and then let's separate the fact that
I'm listening. I am listening.
Just because you're doing something doesn't make it the right thing to do. So yeah, you shut the kids up for a Saturday morning. Stop trying to pass that off as a good thing to do, or you did a healthy thing for them. No, you did not. You shut the kids up. That was your only intention. When the parent is trying to buy their child, you're giving them these things to shut up, to love you. You're not giving them because that's what you think is best for them. Because who in their right mind would give them chocolate cake in the morning? You know that's not what's best for them.
You've never done that?
If it was.
You've never done that?
For myself when I was a child, yes, I have.
For your children, I'm saying you've never just given them what they wanted for breakfast.
All the time I give them what they want, but I don't mistake this as a relationship. I'm giving them what they want. That's all it is. I'm not expecting them to love me in return.
We're saying the same thing.
No,
you made them happy.
You gave them, I did not try to make them happy. I gave it to them so they can shut up. Those are two different things. I'm being honest about why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not trying to keep the peace when I'm stirring up negativity. Giving somebody food outside of the time they're normally eating it is not a good thing for them. But again, we pass those things off in society to make ourselves feel better. We give homeless people $10 and think it's a good thing. That didn't change that person's life. Yeah, you could look at it as a good thing because you're trying to get into heaven, but let's talk about the brass tacks of it. The best thing you can do for your kids is preparation. So when it comes to that Saturday, you're not even prepared for something to do to them. You're not doing what's best for them. The best thing we do now is to have a plan. But just giving them something Saturday to shut them up, how can we call that a good thing?
Okay, you're not seeing the whole picture.
I do. I just don't think it's good. I get why that was
Nobody said it was good.
You did. You said, how is it bad? How are you wrong? So you must be saying that it's good.
Well, what we said.
Right?
We just,
two sides. If it ain't bad, it has to be good.
Okay, we're saying it didn't kill him. That's what we're saying. Did you die? No, you did not die.
But I don't live my life on that rhetoric because that's a slippery slope. You ain't going to die every time you take fentanyl. You ain't going to die every time you do hard drugs. You ain't going to die every time you overdose on liquor. What point are you making? That's what I'm saying. Just because you can do something don't mean it's the right thing to do. But again, I grew up where everything that was done, there was a justification why it was done, and it doesn't make it any better because it makes no sense to do. But again, you're trying to have it two ways. You're trying to say, okay, I can break the rules and give you chocolate cake in the morning, but you need to be an upstanding child. You need to respect me. You don't get to break the rules. You better clean your room. You better do good in school. Where does the kid get to break the rules? Where's their wiggle room? But I see parents break the rules all the time. See, that's things that you will whoop your kid over. Who gets to whoop the parent?
Okay, wait a minute. So
it's uneven.
Okay, so Junior said, just a little comic relief because we got to go back into this, right? Junior said, let's do a little underground music. You know what I'm saying? Because we on fire today. Check this out. I gotta stop smoking in the morning because this is Two Live. This is a Two Live conversation. You are listening to Good Friday with Good Life Rush, and I am Yanti's favorite DJ. DJ Lane Love is in the building. My man is here. Amen is here in the building as well. I'm over here like Lane is Good Life Rush's pops. Hip hop is 50, but how old is Lane? Lane will be 50 years old, and Tim knows this.
Hey.
Tim knows this. So this is why we hash this thing out, because as we have this battle of the sexes on this particular show, it is the battle of the generations, and we are both trying to, because this is the dynamic that y'all go through, whether you want to admit it or not. This is the dynamic that you're just seeing it in real time. Me on one side, Tim on the other.
Some
Tim
people
is
don't converse about this, period. Like, we need to be having these conversations in the home.
right.
Before we marrying each other and having kids, these are conversations. We need to know how each other feels about this.
Yes, man. So get up in here, man. Hey, go ahead and comment, Adrian. We understand that you made the decision to do what's best for us. However, when that generation doubles down and gets upset when we mention that it may not have been the best decision, okay, let me get at you and Tim, okay? Because I'm a little bit here. Let's go in this direction. Because I can give you a sip of this beer. I can give you the sip of this beer, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm giving you instructions. So when you're sneaking in my cabinet and taking my Hennessy, yes, I have a problem with that. Don't do that when I'm at home.
You created the monster. You see my point, how there's no accountability?
You're not grown, Tim. You're not grown.
They possibly could have never drunk if you would have never introduced them to liquor. So now you're blaming them for something you showed them to do, and you made it seem like it wasn't a big deal by letting them do it, even though it's against the law to do.
Get up
you
in here,
cannot
y'all.
have it two ways.
Get up in here,
You
y'all.
want it two ways.
Get up in here.
You
Get
want
up
to
in
break
here.
the law and
What do
have
y'all
to be
think?
righteous, upholding law-abiding citizens. Pick a lane. You can't have it both ways, man.
So when I take your ass in the emergency room, because you done drunk all my damn Hennessy with your 12-year-old lungs and kidneys, you know what I'm saying? I told you to stay out of it. You
But
know
you
what I'm
didn't tell them what could happen. You didn't tell them they could asphyxiate. You didn't tell them their heart could stop. You didn't tell them their liver go bad. All you said was, don't touch my liquor cabinet. Because that's all we heard. That's all that was being said. Don't go in my room. Don't go under my bed. Now it's kids using firearms. Like, the best way to teach someone how to do something is by teaching them how to do it. I teach my kids how to operate weapons so they know how to do it. Keeping them away from it and making it taboo will make them make it irresponsible.
Both ways, right? You
How?
put the gun in the kid's hand.
No,
but you
I
gave-
teach them how to use it. That's different than putting a gun in someone's hand. Those are two different things.
So you teach them how to use it. How so?
How to take the clip off, not to hold your finger on the trigger, not to point it at anyone. What it looks like when it's loaded, what it looks like when it's not loaded. The fact that as soon as you pick up this gun, you need to check for one in the head and empty it out. How to clean the gun so it doesn't jam on you. I teach them how. We watch videos. They do shooting trainings. I teach them how to use a gun.
So
I don't just hand them a gun and say, good luck. Don't shoot anybody.
okay, please get up in here.
Like,
Please
what?
get up in here, you guys. Get up in here. Get in these comments, okay? Get in these
That's
comments
just
because
putting
this is
fear in them so they don't.
this
do
is a
something.
live conversation. Tim is dropping it. He's dropping some hot fire today. I am also. You open up the door to get mad when the child goes through it without you.
That's my point. That's exactly what's
But
happening.
it came with instruction, Adrian. It came.
But they're a child. They're not you. Just because
Okay.
you say something and you get it doesn't mean I get it. So if you cared about me getting it, you would stay until I got it. Correct?
Absolutely.
So how can you just tell somebody don't drink and then just walk away?
No. Okay, so let's keep it real.
Yes.
Because we'll take the liquor and the cookie analogy, right? We'll
Yeah.
take the liquor and the cookie analogy. So scenario, it's New Year's.
Yeah.
Everybody got champagne, you know what I'm saying? Little 6, 7, 8-year-old one has their little cup, you know what I'm saying? They feel that they at the big table, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everybody, midnight, we toast champagne, boom, you know what I'm saying? But now the kid, like you said, has felt the feeling of adulthood and I was included. So, but you know, this is a casual thing that they see mom and dad do,
Right.
you know. So again, dad says, hey, stay out of my liquor cabinet, you know what I'm saying? Whether he gives proper instruction or he just says, you know, for the simple fact that I'm an authoritarian, this is my house, stay out of my liquor cabinet. Either way, there's a reason why dad said stay out of there. The same way, the same analogy. I give you a cookie right now. Don't go back and get them cookies. But there is something in the curiosity of a child, or if they want what they wanted, okay? The instruction is don't do it. Now, I'm going upstairs or I'm going about my day, and 2 hours later, my kid, 3 hours later, my kid is on the couch with a stomach ache. What the hell is wrong with you? I look in the kitchen, and all these damn cookies is gone. So, you know, the thing is, like, I don't got to tell you, oh, you eat all these damn cookies, you won't get. Now look at you.
You do have to tell them that. Though.
Now look at you. I told you to stay out of it for the simple fact I'm your mom. I'm your dad. Stay out of that damn cookie
That's
jar.
not good enough, man. That sounds like listen to me no matter what. But as also you're leaving a huge part out of children. They listen to who they respect. You're leaving a big part out. So let's not act like every kid's gonna act the same with the cookie. There's parent A, parent B. Parent that's respected that their kid don't do a lot of things they tell them not to do because they respect them. And then there's parent B who they're a rebel. They're going against you because they don't respect a lot of things you say because a lot of things you say are false, valid, or you don't really give them an explanation. You just say no because I'm your parent.
Sometimes it's just their personality too.
I can agree with that too, but that's the kid you got. You know what I mean? Just like you pick the house, you don't pick the kid. This is the kid that you birthed, that you got stuck with.
Right.
That to me is where that unconditional love comes from. But we got to get out of this expecting someone to learn a lesson we haven't taught them, and that's what is happening in America. That's what my generation felt that happened. Oh, well, you can talk like this. You're so smart. Why don't you know this? Those are apples and oranges. Why does LeBron James know how to bake a cake? Like, what are we talking about? What difference does it make? I'm really good at this. So let's focus on this. But again, in my childhood, that wasn't it. We focused on the things we didn't do well. We focused on the things we need to work on, the instructions that we didn't follow. When that was the world that we were being brought in telling not to do. Well, don't just listen to everything these white people tell you. Don't just listen to everything these cops tell you. So why I got to listen to everything you tell me? That wasn't explained. Well, you can only have this sip just one time. Why can't I drink once a week? Why can't I have more? You're not explaining none of these things. You're fear-mongering me not to doing things, which is just going to, as a child, we're speaking on children, it's going to make me want to do it more. When someone tells you no, it makes you want to do it more.
Okay, Tim.
So you have to teach them why you're saying not to do it, not just, oh, well, you got to respect me. I'm the authoritarian. A kid doesn't understand that.
There's little. Okay, that's fine. Well, let's go there.
Yeah,
let's go there. There are kids who, let's put it all in perspective because we're gonna go back to Big Mama and Grow. So Big Mama and Mama and Daddy and Uncle and Aunt told Keisha, hey, sex, this is what can happen. Mm-hmm. This is what can happen, and blah 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 blah. And Keisha knows this, but she gets a boyfriend. And no matter what the teachings are and the full explanations of what can happen, Tyrone or, Shaquan or whoever makes Keisha feel very good, you know what I'm saying, by the way he talks to her, by the way he compliments her, by the way he touches her, you know what I'm saying? In that moment of heat of passion, when they're both at home, nobody's at home or in the backseat of that car or whatever, everything that Keisha has been taught goes out the window because Tyrone is making her feel good. Okay, we know what happens when kids or teenagers have unprotected sex. You can have a baby. So no matter what, okay, I gave you the instruction. Hey, we see, a lot of these young boys, hey, you know what I'm saying? Them dudes out in the street, that's not cool. You can end up in jail. You can end up a certain way. This is where we're going. This is the direction you're smoking weed, bro. That's not cool. You know what I'm saying? Because let's even go through that. It can get into your lungs too early. People produce fentanyl, but we still give them phones. So now it's cool to see whoever their favorite rapper is blazing in the studio and this, that, and the other. So I'm painting a picture, you guys. Adrian, good morning, Michelle Coleman. So even with the instruction, at the moment of feeling good, all that goes out the window. So when Keisha has a baby and she is struggling because, there are things that I can tell Keisha, but Keisha ain't gonna learn it until she feel it. There are certain things that I could tell Tyrone, but there are certain things Tyrone ain't gonna learn until he behind in bars and he can't come home all weekend. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta stop not holding these teenagers accountable because by the time, Shane or anybody else done went to this school and took that semi-automatic weapon and lit up everybody in there because he was taught to shoot at 5 years old. Right? He knew gun care and everything like that at 5 years old.
Never happened ever. Look up let me finish. Somebody let me train using guns.
Let me finish though. So at the end of the day, when these situations happen, all that Big Mama and everything. It's on the Outkast song. Everything the Big Mama tried to tell you. Toilet tissue. Just look up that song, Toilet Tissue. Everything the Big Mama tried to tell him, it went out the window for a few moments of pleasure. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, you're right in a lot of times.
You. That's what we don't talk about. Again, there's no accountability on the other side. Like, there's all this. To me, it sounds like a dictatorship. You have to do this because I'm in charge, and I'm in charge, so you have to do this. But who holds the parent accountable?
There goes that lack of accountability on it.
I haven't heard accountability from your side once. Who holds the parent accountable when you're saying, well, you know, because I told you don't have sex, that it's going to lead to this, so don't do it. So who tells the parent not to spend that money for rent that we needed for rent? Who tells that parent not to go spend that money for lights that you knew you went to the job to get money to pay the bills? Why aren't the bills paid? So who holds that parent accountable? But yet you giving all these rules and telling the kid what to do, and you ain't even doing your stuff as a parent. And that's what we grew up seeing. Well, you got to do this. So that means you don't? That means you don't have to be responsible. That means you don't have to do what you know to be true, because that's literally the lesson you're giving a child. Well, I told you this, you know better, so don't do it. So that means you should be perfect across the board. You shouldn't have anything that you know better than, but you still go against your better nature, correct?
Well, if the parent is parenting, you shouldn't even know the financial difficulties.
Why not? Why wouldn't they tell the kid that? That affects me too. If the heat get cut off, you think I'm not going to get cold?
First of all, that's grown man business. That's grown man business.
So where's the accountability at for your side? I still have yet to hear accountability in any of your takes. If
the parent, I'm saying that if we made you feel that way, we shouldn't have had you in grown folk business, because I don't care. I don't care if let me, because now we're all adults, right?
So being honest is not the truth. Let me
finish, because I feel like your generation, when it comes to parenting, y'all let too much of y'all kids in y'all business, and this is why they have the weight of the world on their shoulders and stuff like that. Really, this is why when you hear our generation talk about, we didn't even know we was poor, this is what we're talking about, because Big Mama and Grandpa didn't let us in grown folk business. They didn't even let us around that conversation. So we was just go outside and play. You know why they said go outside and play? Because you shouldn't be in grown folk business. You shouldn't know that, you know what I'm saying, we are robbing Peter to pay Paul, because guess what? Life just life. The furnace went out, and that's $3,000 that we were saving money, but we ain't got enough to just pay this out, because guess what? The wages aren't fair. There's a lot of things that we're still fighting systematically. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these problems, as Mike Epps would say, that we're talking about, it's called Black people problems. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, even with us having the best intentions and things of that nature, life can still life, right? So what I'm saying is that even if, especially in my situation, I was a banker. So therefore, I would go through, you know what I'm saying, a lot of these budget apps and things of that nature to make sure that, you know, my finances were this, that, and the other. And then next thing you know, damn, this happened. Garage door shot, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying, I got to get this really quick or what have you, you know. And then there were luxuries involved as well. And maybe certain things could have waited.
People, they spend beyond their means. Again, let's call a spade a spade.
Okay, like, you throwing the baby out with, you
sugarcoat a lot for your generation. Let's call a spade a spade.
Let's say I will match your sugar coat. Oh, I will match your sugar coat with basically you're not even understanding that there is some things that, you know, you're not just going to go through life to pay bills. You're gonna enjoy some of the amenities that life has to offer.
I understand these things because I have kids. Right. No, I never went and bought a coat when I didn't have health care. I never went on a trip when I didn't have life insurance. How many people don't have that now at 50, at 60? That's my point. So don't tell me they got it at 30 and you don't get it at 60. That means you haven't gotten it this whole time. That's the difference. See, with me, I'm honest with why would I lie to my kids? And we're talking about raising them. So I want to educate them on what it's like to not have money. I'm going to educate them on what it's like when I don't have friends. So, why would I offer them a drink at 10 but not tell them we got money problems? That makes no sense to me.
So it ain't always those scenarios of the luxury coat. Let's take a real scenario where the furnace was $4,000 and I still are struggling to find out how I'm going to get coats for my 4 kids. That's life, Tim.
It's also that's life.
That's also no. Let that breathe. Let that breathe.
It doesn't need to. You bought that house. So if the house is not working, remember when I said that there's a hole in the ceiling, whose fault is it? Whose fault did he say? You bought that house, so how am I being punished for something that you did that's not working out?
You said you were being punished, Tim.
Because you're not telling me about it. You're keeping me in the dark. Do you think that's a good thing?
You're a
But I'm
child.
old enough to drink.
You're old enough to, hey, come kick it with us.
So I'm old enough to kick it, but I'm not old enough to be educated on how to take care of a house, knowing I may want to buy a house one day. I may not want to drink the rest of my life. I may buy a house, so you're going to teach me how to drink and not how to buy a house?
That's an extreme example, sir.
These are the examples you use.
But what I'm saying, what I'm saying is the extremity is that we're all around the family. What is wrong with, hey, little 10-year-old Timmy? Here's a little bit of champagne. Timmy's happy. Everybody's happy. Did that ruin his life?
Timmy's not happy when he grows old and has to lose his house because you didn't teach him how to take care of a house. Timmy's not happy when he only has $100 in his bank and now he finds out the furnace was $4,000 because you didn't tell him that back then because it was grown folks' information. So now he's not happy. So yeah, somebody can be happy today, but am I going to be happy the rest of my life? You're promising me temporarily happiness?
I'd rather Tim be a child and still go out and play and figure out.
But my generation didn't get to do that. We had to grow up early too. I wasn't a child for a very long time.
You're right.
So again, you cannot have it two ways. You can't force me to grow
up
early.
Neither can you guys.
Oh, well, this is adult information. It seems like you don't know what you're doing. That's all it seems like to the kid.
Nobody said
you telling me two different things.
Okay. So let's do this. So this. Did you have a handbook for fatherhood?
Did I what?
Did you have a handbook for fatherhood?
Absolutely not. Okay. I learned because I messed it up. And I didn't lie to my kids about when I was messing up. And I didn't lie to my kids when I wasn't.
Drop your mic, Tim. You drop your mic because you just dropped it.
But I said everything different than what you said. You said, well, I probably shouldn't have told them that. My kids knew when I wasn't being a great father.
No.
My kids knew, and it's because I lost my child. And it's not a good enough reason to my kids that's still living, but I told them the truth.
Okay. And so
I don't lie to my kids about I don't see the point in lying to your kids.
And I never did.
Admitting information is lying. Admitting the truth is lying.
I'm not gonna let my kid on my bill situation.
Admitting the truth is lying. You can dress it up however you want. Omitting the truth is lying.
I'm gonna let my children be children.
And but they weren't children. They were forced to grow up by the world. The information you give your child's not the only information they're getting. They're still learning from friends in school and all this. And when they don't get the information at home, they seek it from school. So by you omitting, you're telling them, go get this information from somewhere else.
So the only thing is, let's go back to the original topic. At this point, I'm going to protect their peace because basically they should not have to stress about that.
You can't do that, though. Only I can protect my peace. You don't know what my peace is. My peace is not what you designated to be.
I'm going to try to figure it out for my 12-year-old. Yes, I am.
You don't have enough time or insight to do that for anyone else. You also have to live your life at the same time.
How you 12-year-old? I'm going to put that stress on a 12-year-old, Tim.
It's already put on them. They have the internet. They can see people being decapitated on YouTube. And you're worried about telling them financial bills. They know there's a war going on in Palestine. You're worried about them knowing if we're struggling or not. They know that slavery existed.
Get up in here, you guys. Get up into these comments.
Are we living in a different world?
Because I feel
they're already exposed.
Okay. So yeah, with the phone and everything like that. But this is like on Facebook. It says, this is Facebook. There is no reason why I should know that your baby daddy X, Y, Z. This is.
But people are going to.
Let me tell you. This is Facebook. There is no reason why X, Y, and Z. We see these memes all the time. Your child is 12. There is no reason that they should know that, you know what I'm saying, you fucked off the money.
I disagree. I think you're putting them in a box. And this is what I felt from my personal experience. I'm not speaking on millennials. I feel like you're putting them in a box and telling them how much they know without first gauging how much they know. This is the problem with school. They have 20 kids learn the same lesson that 10 of them already get, but it doesn't matter because everyone has to get the same. And we're going to stay here as long as we need to stay here without you moving further and being able to learn anything else because I'm going to limit you. You're not old enough to be saying what you're saying. You're not old enough to listen to this information. While us the kids had to watch the adults mess up the money, had to watch the adults cheat on each other and not be faithful in this marriage when you're telling us, oh, be faithful to your wife, happy wife. You got 3 girlfriends, bruh. Like, it doesn't matter if you're telling me. I can see what's going on. Oh, I'm happy with your mother. You're miserable. You're stressed. The kids can see that. You're not fooling them with not telling them information. You're showing them they can't trust you.
I'm listening. Trust me.
You're showing them they can't trust you.
I'm here.
I've been on both sides. You're showing them they can't trust you. That's why I don't do that with my kids. It's not because I think that's the right way. It's because I tried the other way and it didn't work. So now I'm allowing my kids to talk. I didn't have a voice when I was a kid. And if you look at where I am now, I know a lot more than people used to give me credit for knowing at 10. I know a lot more at 35 than people give me credit for knowing at 35. That's the problem. Don't assume you think you know what I know because of what you know.
Okay.
You have to assume you have no idea what I know. So speak to me like a person that's learning, not like a person that you're trying to stifle their growth, because that's what those conversations feel like. Well, you can't do this. You're not ready for that. Who told you that? I didn't tell you that.
So let me ask you this then, and hear me out.
Absolutely.
If I'm Albert Einstein,
Mhm.
and I'm really explaining the theory of relativity to you, or anything like that scientifically, and this is what I've done all my life, you just now walked into my classroom. Are you going to comprehend anything that I'm saying?
Possibly not. I mean, I can hear everything and not comprehend what you're saying. So possibly not.
Exactly. So
I'm
about to tell you, I've lived 30 years. You've lived 12. You have no possible idea of how bills work or anything like that. So why am I going to break down to you?
I don't get that point at all.
Why am I going to break any of this adult shit down to you that I have been living for 16, 20 years longer than you? I'm not going to put that on your shoulders.
And that's where I hear ego. And I hear parents saying that because you won't know what to do if I got it at 12 and you couldn't. And that's why, to me, there's a disconnect. The parent doesn't want, a lot of times I see the parent doesn't want the child to surpass them. A lot of times. And how I speak on it, we even talked about this on the show. I think a lot of parents are like that. I think that's the discrepancy between their child. They try to keep you so high. For me, my kids are supposed to be better than me. They're supposed to get every single lesson I got and simultaneously be learning things that I couldn't learn because I didn't grow up in 2023 at this age. I don't have to deal with their mom. So they should be better than me. So I'm glad if they get it at 10. But I'm never going to assume they don't get it.
If they automatically get it themselves, yes. But I'm going to protect that piece.
Why?
I'm going to protect that. Well, I'm telling you, because I feel like the closer that they get to adulthood, 16, when they're learning how to drive a car. Okay, now you want a car, you learn how to drive a car. Let me tell you about finance. Let me tell you about gas in your car. Let me tell you about the maintenance of your car, things of that nature. Now that gives me 2 whole years to really, put this adult shit into them. But like I'm saying, a lot of these adolescents and these preteens are getting this information early. So this is why, Tim, that 13-year-old wants to be a Kia boy. I disagree. This is wow.
I disagree. They're getting the information irresponsibly. You haven't done enough research to say they're getting it early. You have not sat down with enough preteens to say, oh, your issue is you got the information.
So they got the information from YouTube, but they're getting behind the wheels of these cars, Tim, and they're tearing down these streets and they're dying.
So where are their parents?
So what if
they got the information from YouTube? Where are their parents? The people that brought them into this world, YouTube did it. Again, so where are their parents?
You can't have it both ways. If
I can't expect the parent to raise.
If you have 2 parents in a life and they still getting this information from YouTube, it goes back to what I said before. If we're giving the information and they're still doing what feels good, they are ill prepared to handle what's next. And what comes next.
And it's easier to say that than identify that you have a bad relationship with your child, and that's why they don't listen to you. It's real easy to blame them. That's why I said in everything you're saying, where's the accountability? Not once did you say, oh, well, you don't listen to me because of how I treat you. Everything you said is because it's too early. You're not ready for that information. What if you're the problem? What if they can't hear it from you because of everything you've done to them and all the times you said you was going to show up and you didn't? And all the times that you said, oh, this is going to feel better, take the medicine, and it didn't. So what about you? When are you ever going to be the problem, or are they just the problem? Because I haven't heard you mention one way that you're the problem in any of this.
I didn't say I wasn't the problem, Tim.
So tell me how you're the problem.
I'm telling you, because basically when I say you want it both ways, is that I'm telling you the dangers, and you still want to go out and do what you want to do anyway. That's what I'm saying.
Because danger does not scare people out of living life,
Tim. If I told you the dangers and you did it anyway, you cannot now put that back on me because you don't respect me.
Your child, that sounds like ego. Your child cannot hold you accountable for how they were raised.
Tim, okay, if I raise, there's a lot of kid boys out here that got good parents. Okay, there's a lot, but they're doing what's
good parents according to that parent. Would society deem them a good parent? Would the kid call you a good parent?
To the best of their ability.
That's objective then. So don't call them a good parent. They feel they're a good parent. That's a different thing than saying they're a good parent because you're trying to prove a point with no context. That's my point. All these kids are running
I
wild
gave
and not
you the context.
all these kids are running wild, and at one point you're saying maybe it's the parents' relationship
Did you
with them.
hear
You're
what I
saying
said?
it's the child. They were giving this too early. I would have changed this and did this differently given the chance. When is it the parents' fault?
You around your kids 24/7, Tim?
More times than my parents around me, absolutely.
But are you?
Not 24. I'm not around anyone 24/7.
Exactly.
What point did you make?
You're not wanting to hear my point. You can't monitor and you can't monitor everything that your child does 24 hours
When
a day.
did I say monitor? Those are your words. When did I say monitor? I said in the beginning how you raise a parent is you give them the information and trust they do the right thing with it. When did I say monitor?
So when your kids do something that you told them not to do, is that reflective of your parenting?
Absolutely. So that means I need to grow. Either I need to explain the lesson better. I need to spend more time with you. Maybe I'm not calling you enough. Maybe I'm not engaged in your social activity. But I love you unconditionally. I give my kid grace. I don't look at them as a screw up. We can bring my kids on the show. I've never called them a screw up. I never said if you mess up again, you're out at 18. I never said if you get pregnant, you're out at 18. I raised my kids.
We never said that the kids can have a mistake, but we're just saying.
Oh, we weren't allowed to have mistakes. I used to take the car 12 when I kicked out.
That's projection.
If I had a kid, you got to get out. I'm not raising no kids.
Tim, not everybody had the same experience as you.
Most people did. I've talked to a lot of people in my generation. They're all singing and say a lot of people have messed up relationship with their parents. I mean, maybe I'm right. I don't see any information to back what you're saying. It seems like opinion and feeling. I'm talking about facts.
Oh, no, that's not fact. That's not fact, Tim.
It is. I'm talking about facts. A lot of these kids feel like they weren't raised. They feel like they weren't taken care of. They were just overseen.
It's a theme. It's a theme. It's a theme of your
and
generation.
Enough kids are saying that.
It's a theme.
Come on, man. There's a lot of parents calling themselves good parents that your kid wouldn't say that.
I
So whose opinion do we listen to? Einstein was great at relativity. He was terrible at marriage. He was terrible at feelings. So yeah, I can walk into your class and you seem like you know what you're talking about, but let's look at your life.
You did get it. So
everyone gets it, but you didn't prove a point. That's my point. I understand what you're saying, but you're not proving no points that make any sense.
Guess what, though, Tim? Generation Z ain't the Generation Z ain't the product of good parenting.
Right.
So where are y'all fucking up?
That's what we're trying to figure out. That's why we let them talk more. That's why now we're being called soft and gentle parents because our kids have a voice. Is that not a different than how we grew up? Is that not a change? Again, I can't say something's better or worse for me or you. I can say I did it differently. All the things let's check the tape. All the things I've said on this episode. So are you listening to me?
Because I'm listening to you, but what I'm seeing in your generation is you're letting them figure it all out themselves.
How?
Yeah,
I have absolutely. My kids. We have our kids way more than our parents.
That's you.
So what were y'all doing then? So how are y'all good parents having us less of the time?
You're letting.
But now we're doing it wrong.
You're letting generations. What I'm saying is you're letting Generation Z figure it all out by letting them 8 hours out of the day.
If that's how you see it, but again, that further proves my point. Your generation is not qualified to tell us how to raise kids. Y'all were not the best parents in the world. Y'all are not qualified. If y'all want to teach the theory of relativity, sure, let's talk about it. But when it comes to parenting, absolutely not. Y'all still trying to figure it out. How are y'all trying to teach something that you're a student in?
You're the product of us, so we're done.
I am not the product. I did this on my own. I am not the product of y'all's parenting. My parents was never at home. And my parents are still married to this day. Separated though. And I still don't have parents. I'm not the product of anything. Trust me. And I know how my parents wanted to take credit for that. But no, I did this. I did my shadow work. I did the healing. And I do like Big Mama. I do something different with my kids. I don't raise my kids how I was raised because that was the way. That's what they showed me. No, I learned the right way. So that's all I'm encouraging other people to do. And I'm qualified to say that because I do it every single day.
So you would say that your millennial style of parenting is the best way.
It's not the best way. It's what works for us. So how can someone who didn't parent us criticize how we're parenting?
We're not criticizing.
Y'all not criticizing?
Here's
y'all have no accountability, man. Like, I've been criticized by your generation more than any other generation about my parenting and how I raise my kids. You literally just did it by saying we're letting our kids figure out everything on ourselves.
I think
that's criticizing.
I think, and I'm not trying to have him because we keep looking at him like, you know what I'm saying?
Not just because he's here.
I don't. So, but here's the thing, and I'm addressing this to you for the majority of this show. You have poked holes in, like you said, our non-accountability, and our disconnect. But then you're saying that we criticize you guys, right? So if there's no understanding from what happened before you, but you guys are not doing any better, and probably I would say a little worse, because the Generation Z is just out of
I can't
freaking
believe
control.
you think that.
Or out of control right now.
Worse than y'all did.
What I'm saying is this. So who is going to stop pointing the finger? Because let's go back to what we were saying. Thank you, the audience, for coming in, because again, this is a great topic, man. I love the fact that we come here and we work this thing out the way that we do, but the topic is protecting our peace. So a lot of this protecting your peace is not protecting our peace, because there is a major disconnect. There is a major protecting the peace is really not protecting your peace. We are avoiding the conversation, and this is why I'm glad me and Tim are in here right now to talk about the conversation, because we keep avoiding it. You're not protecting your peace by not talking to your mom. You're not protecting your peace by not talking to your children or cutting your children off. You're not protecting your peace. What is true protecting your peace? And Tim is going to get to that at 5 minutes before we leave. Tim is going to get to that, but we still have to, we need 10 minutes to really hash this thing out of what we've been talking about, which is the disconnect. You know what I'm saying? Because we do want peace. Actual peace to say, I understand, I empathize, I want to heal, I want to understand you, Tim. I want to. So I don't want you to constantly dismiss that we didn't acknowledge that we messed up. Right?
I don't be hearing it though. I also ain't gonna pretend.
This is what frustrates me about Tim. I mean, I'm really telling you, this is what frustrates me about Tim. Is because Tim does not give any grace. Alive.
Grace more than anybody that was born.
To Generation X, you give very little. You give very little. And it shows. It shows.
My relationship with everybody is not my relationship with you.
No, we talking. Like, you my brother. That's my brother.
Nah, I'm making a point. It wouldn't seem like that, because again, my point was we gave y'all all the grace in the beginning. We paid y'all for a job y'all never did in the beginning. So now y'all coming back saying, "Oh, I'm doing the job now. Where that paycheck? Oh, it's a little light. This ain't what you was paying me before." That's the problem. I'm not saying we have to point the finger at y'all. I'm telling y'all what it is. At this point, it's irrelevant. Y'all are becoming the elders. We run the world. We don't have to ask y'all permission no more to run the world. We're running the world right now. So what I'm saying is more of a courtesy. If y'all want to be a part of our lives, these are the boundaries we've set in place. I don't have no reason to make y'all the problem that y'all aren't. I've already fixed my problems I dealt with from my parents. I don't have to make y'all the scapegoat. That's my point. But it's too late. That's what I'm saying. Y'all didn't teach us how to ride a bike at 5, and you're trying to come back at 35 like, you ready to learn how to ride a bike? No, you don't think I'll learn how to ride a bike in 30 years? It's too late. That's the reality of it all. And I wish I could sugarcoat it, and I wish I could make it better for a lot of these parents, but you made your bed, and it's time to lay in it. Let's not throw out all grandma's philosophy. She was telling y'all what was happening when y'all was dropping the kids off to her. She was saying, you're going to have to raise them one day, and it's not when they're 35. They don't need a parent no more at 35. At that point, they need a friend. They need an elder. But y'all skipped the point to where we was kids and all these things mattered because we shouldn't know. It was adult information. So now we missed out on all this information that we went to school and realized I'm behind. My friends knew about credit at 16. My friends knew how to drive at 16. I'm behind. You think I wasn't looking at home? It's easy just to blame me. So why do they get it? And their parents showed them. And I don't get it. And my parent didn't show them. And somehow that's my fault.
I'm glad you threw out the age 16. And what I'm saying is, Tim, I mean, and you know more about this psychology thing than I do. Let's stop traumatizing our adolescents and preteens. Let's wait a little bit. Let's wait a little bit, because now our adolescents and preteens are oversexed. They have the weight of their mom and dad on their shoulders. And I ain't talking about Generation X. They have the weight right now of the millennial parents on their shoulders because they're exposed to too much. We're zeroing in on the adolescents and the preteens, because when you're 16, you're doing a lot of adult things anyway. You're driving a car, you probably have a part-time job, and you pretty much, outside of school, have your own village now. You're creating your own tribe and culture and everything like that. So yeah, I'm glad that you threw that number out versus 12 years old, which is why I'm seeing the destruction of when I hear of a 12-year-old murdering somebody. Nobody should murder anybody, but I'm like, what are you going through?
That is nothing new, though. You're telling me that's new?
Tim.
Because you have this.
It's critical, more so now.
How is because it's more
criticizing.
people and
I'm
more
telling you
threats.
facts, bro.
People were
I'm
killing,
telling you
people
facts.
were killing at 12 in the 90s. There's notorious gangsters that was 12 and 13 in the 90s. You telling me that's not a fact? So why wasn't it on your generation then to start teaching that into the 2000s? Now we're in 2023, and now all of a sudden it's important to learn a lesson that y'all helped push along, that y'all helped hand down. Why is it so important now? Why wasn't it important when it was your generation that was doing it? Why does it now have to fall on us?
I'm not saying it has to fall.
That's literally what you just said.
That's why we're here on this platform.
No, it's not. We're on this platform to be honest and be real.
And to promote awareness, Tim.
So awareness is if you
so
are
let's
a part,
talk about it. If we can't talk about it.
Is, we are. And that's my opinion. If
Right.
you are a part of the problem, you don't get to tell the next person in line how to fix the problem. You don't have a voice in this say. That's my awareness. That's all I've been saying this whole show. Y'all are not qualified to give this advice y'all are trying to give us. That's why we don't listen.
I don't think
but then wrong. It gets
that's wrong to say we're not
account,
qualified.
but I didn't ask how it was talked about either. I'm telling you what it is. If you're mad at us because you want to be included in something y'all didn't include yourselves in originally, and now y'all want to be included in it, and you're not. There's enough people in the world we can still have these conversations. Your generation does not have to be a part of it. But that's the entitlement. That's that we have to do it because I'm your mom or dad. So now you feel like you have to be a part of everything that's related to your kid, but yet you didn't have that same energy when they was 5. You didn't have that same energy when they was 10. It's easy to do it now that they're adult. Why didn't you treat them like that when they was a kid? Because it's harder. Because you got to be on demand all the time. Now you can pop in for the weekend and act like you care what they got going on in their life and pop out.
So be careful as far as leaving us out of the conversation because we're the ones making the laws right now.
Right.
We're the ones we're the ones in power.
And we're not afraid of the laws, nor do we follow the laws. That's why a lot of us don't even want to keep jobs. We're working for ourselves because we hate y'all's laws. They suck. So why are you saying that like you bragging? Like we're trying to keep the laws going. We're trying to get rid of
I'm going by what you said. By leaving us out of the conversation, you still need Generation X. You still need us.
I don't see it, man. You force. That's the only thing you're teaching somebody when you're away. You're teaching them how to live.
Why would you ostracize a whole generation?
Because they haven't been around, dog. They've been under a rock, and now that the rocks got removed, y'all want to be a part of society.
You are painting that little brush with that big stroke, man, and
I think that's
unfair. I think that's unfair.
It doesn't have to be fair. You think my childhood was fair?
That's projection. That's projection, man. We're talking about the culture and
the not answering my questions. You see how you jump around? Wasn't fair?
I'm not jumping around.
Was y'all stopping each other, telling each other to go home and raise their kids when we were kids?
There was a lot of awareness and focus groups.
Where?
We had our Tavis Smileys. We had our people
y'all
that were
not
the voice.
Making each other go home. Y'all was out partying with each other. If I'm out kicking it with you, you know I'm not with my kids. So the fact that you're having me at a gathering, how can you say oh no, man, go home?
Tim,
I'm here with you.
Our culture, and it was reflective of the art. It was reflective. But if you don't want to hear it, this is what
I want to hear accountability.
Okay,
you're blaming something else again.
I'm not even blaming anything. I'm telling you how it was.
Saying reflective of the art is blaming the art now.
But you're absolutely dismissing the things and the building blocks that we were trying to do to advance.
Excuse? Yeah, I don't like it.
If you look at it as an excuse instead of actually looking at it what it was, the Black college movement, the Black awareness movement, things of that nature to try to bring culture back because we were systematically being broken down. So now, Tim, we didn't say it was going to work. We just we
tried.
Want
credit for it not work? Why do y'all want credit for failing? Why do you want credit for failing?
We didn't say that. We just said, damn, we're not monsters. We're not your enemy.
So you want credit for failing.
Tim, if we're talking about protecting the peace and providing the peace between the two generations, we have to at least empathize. And you're not willing to empathize.
Because it was done to me. I can't empathize when someone's giving me an excuse of why they wrong. Then instead of just saying, yo, tell me I was wrong. But now it's the art. Now it's the time. All these other things. Other than just saying,
can you allow us to?
It shouldn't come last. Why should I have to wait for mine? You want yours up front, but I gotta let you blame all these other things that then hold yourself accountable.
Take your defenses down, brother. That's what we're telling your generation.
No, because
take your defenses down.
But we don't have
millennials
to include you in these kind of conversations.
Why not? We want to be included. We want to help.
What good is it done?
How are you going to marginalize us and then just
marginalize yourself? Everything else was more important than parenting, and now parenting is the most important thing to you. You think we're naive?
If we're going to come to the table and start, because like you said, and we're getting ready to close. Like you said, there is no too late. We can have this conversation.
There's no too late for you. If you're talking about the group, yes, there is a too late.
To connect him?
When you want to heal yourself,
connect?
yes. Because it's a two-way street. I can want to connect with
sad,
him.
Man.
I can want to connect with him, and he don't want to
sad.
connect with me no more.
Because I feel
I gotta force him to connect with me now because I'm ready.
You know how that would be sad? Because I feel like one day I will be able to connect with my children. That's sad if you're saying that there's no hope for connection. That's sad.
A lot of people never do. So what about them? We're gonna pretend like their life don't exist.
We're just not gonna have no
I'm asking you, see, you never answered none of my questions. A lot of people never connect with their kids. So what about their life? Was their life over? Was it the worst thing that can happen to them?
Program and try, Tim.
And that sounds very hopeful, but is that realistic?
It probably ain't, but
so again, so let's talk.
So what are we doing here then if we're not promoting hope?
We're talking real. I don't promote hope. This ain't church.
I like to inspire. I like to inspire.
Inspiration and hope are two different things.
And that's what's sad, because there's a friend of mine that says the same thing that you did. Like, Delane, you want to change the world, but you're not looking at the world through realistic eyes. And yes, I do, but damn, I do want the peace back between male and female. I do want the peace back between, especially this huge disconnect between Generation X and millennials, because that's where the war is, really. You know what I'm saying? Because Generation Z don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? So that war is like, hey, and then Tim about to go in on me, but I feel like Generation X is like, hey, okay, you say that you don't want to understand that we tried, or you feel like we're patting ourselves on the back and we want credit for trying, and a lot of things didn't fail, but we're just trying to get you to understand that we loved you. We love you. We didn't love you. We love you. We wanted this thing to be better than the crack epidemic for you. And we didn't know that we were going to stress you out by saying, hey, I got to work this extra shift. Can you watch Little Timmy for me? We didn't know that we were going to stress you out by saying, hey, you know what? The job is holding me over this weekend. I can't make it to your baseball game. We didn't know that we were going to leave you with scars and trauma. Okay. Now, as we move forward, because we are talking about the present, what do we do now? So then what a lot of the Generation X's are facing when trying to protect their peace and trying to promote peace between that next generation, their children, their grandchildren, or whatever, they are meeting that door slam like, I don't want to hear it.
Right.
And it's like, okay, how can I fix this?
You can't, maybe. Have you accepted that?
We might have to.
I know. That's the disconnect. The disconnect is nobody asked y'all to promote peace for us. Who asked for that? I didn't ask for that.
You want war, Tim? I mean,
it doesn't have to be war either, but it don't have to be peace. We could be civil and in the middle. We don't have to be friendly, and we don't have to be enemies. But when you're coming saying, I thought we was promoting peace, who asked for that? This is, again, how we were raised. You didn't identify what I actually need. You decided this is what's best for me and try to force me to go down the path that was best for you. And then it fails, and you blaming everything else and saying your plan sucked. Because then we can move on from that. I can't move on from you making excuses and not hold yourself accountable when you hold me accountable every day of my life. How is that fair? How is it fair that I can raise my siblings as a kid, which is an adult thing to do? How is it okay that I can get my name on bills as a kid, which is an adult thing to do, but I can't be a part of adult conversations? Y'all created the paradox. Now y'all are mad. Nobody wants to play with y'all no more. That's the problem. But nobody asked. Nobody called y'all here for this. We called y'all here because y'all still a part of our lives, and we want y'all to be a part of our lives. But y'all are not in charge anymore. Y'all have no authority over us. Now it's all about respect. So if the respect ain't there, the conversation ain't there. You can't say no more, well, I'm your dad. You got to talk to me, because no, I don't. So why don't you have more merit to me talking to you? Why is that the only substance I would talk to you because you're my dad? My kids want to talk to me because I'm kind. They want to talk to me because I listen. They want to talk to me because I show interest in what they're saying. I never have had to say, I'm your dad, you got to listen to me. That's not fair to them. Because what if they don't want to listen to me? I'm telling them they got to listen any other way. And you're telling them not to be a slave to the government, but you're a slave in your own home. You have no free will until you're an adult, but you're doing adult things without free. How does any of this make sense? It doesn't. And we've talked about this. We've been telling our parents this in the home. This has just now reached the media. These conversations aren't new. That's my point. And what has changed? I haven't seen much that has changed. And that's me personally.
and we're living in a culture society that we kind of want it both ways. It's like we want every man for himself and to figure out ourselves, but then we lack leadership. So you know what I'm saying? So in leadership, there is order, and there is an order of, you know, I have this knowledge. Again, somebody, and I refuse to give out the source of who gave me this information, but it's like when you go to a job and you hear the word supervisor, it's supervision. I've gone before, so I have supervision as to where we should go. Now, whether you want to follow or not, that's totally up to you. But if you want to be a part of my tribe, part of my culture, and you feel like this leadership is worthy enough to follow, then basically there is a creed, there's an order that you must follow. And there is a respect factor as well. We're not saying that, okay, you can cut me off, but don't wait 20 years down the line. Like, I never had a father who wanted to do, and you never wanted to do that when I've extended. Now, you brought up a great point. And this is what I love about our conversations. Us Generation Xers need to have that mindset that, okay, the do as I say and not as I do went out with the millennials. That went out, like, no more of that. You know what I'm saying? You have to respect me as an individual, and the respect has to go both ways, especially when I exercise autonomy and accountability for myself, because this is why we did see a lot of millennials leaving the house at 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, because it's like, I got to figure it out enough. I got to figure it out enough to move out. Yeah. I say, and if I can't, I've seen a lot more millennials saying, if I can't, then I'll room with another person who understands me, another person who, until I get that full independence that I want, or I'll stay with grandma versus, because at least grandma's going to hear me out and show a part of empathy that I'm not getting from my parents, a part of kindness that and a part of autonomy that I'm not getting from my parents as well. So I get that. But then what you see later on down the line is that, again, going back to the analogy, and we're getting ready to close, you guys, going back to the analogy of the person that's drowning. God sends the boat. You know what I'm saying? God will save me. You know what I'm saying? God sends a helicopter. And God will save me. It's like the parents are extending hands, and it's like, I want to understand. I want to hear. But when that hand keeps getting batted away, I think you also need to know that we're humans too. And, you know, it says that you should never give up and try, but some parents do get weary. I'm like, I'm not knocking on that door again, because I also have feelings. You know what I'm saying?
You can't call that unconditional love. And I agree, it happens both sides, but herein lies the issue. And this is our whole issue. You deemed all these titles.
Go ahead.
You deemed all these titles that are meaningless. They're pointless. And again, if that person is out in the ocean drowning, maybe they were supposed to drown. Maybe you're doing the wrong thing by sending them a boat. You do not know their path. But you are trying to make their path because it'll feel better for you, because you're trying to get into heaven or be a good person or do a mitzvah. And they didn't ask. And then the things they were asking you for to show up for, you weren't there. That's the irony. And when it comes to talking to our parents' generation, especially when I was a kid, I'll give you the perfect analogy of how it is. It's like I come to you with the best information I had. I'm super excited. I want to tell you about it. And you make me wait to tell you, and you do all these 10 things. And then you come back really interested. All right, I'm ready now. I got your ear. And I don't even want to talk to you no more. I have nothing to say to you. Like, and that's what it's like. That's what it's been like. That's what it's still like to this day. It doesn't feel like we're trying to get ahead. It feels like sometimes y'all are trying to right wrongs. And that's not our battle. I can't help you with whatever you had to go through with your parents. I can't help you with what you had to go through with your other kids. I can only care about my relationship with you. And the only thing you can do is better yourself, because then that's going to better our relationship. But when you're trying to help me and trying to disguise it as you're doing good for me, no, that's entitlement. Because you could parent me how you feel the perfect way and I still not like it. Who's right and who's wrong? You going to be upset with me because I'm living in my truth? Because of all you things you did to me, now it feels like you were trying to convince me to like you. You were trying to convince me to respect you. I'm a leader. I demand respect. I won't give you no choice but to respect me. That's just how I move. So what we're living in this world is, which we got a glimpse in because we had to leave the house early. There's a lot of systems put in place that people pretend they work and they don't. And that's what your generation, that's the only difference I said from Graham. Graham was able to change. And y'all's generation don't feel like y'all did. Y'all stood firmer on y'all's beliefs. Grandma changed throughout the generation. She had to change. She had to keep up and adapt. So even if you look at how the workforce is, it doesn't work. Look at most of these jobs. They plummet. They don't work because it's bad leadership. You put in supervisor and managers for jobs where the employees can do the whole job themselves. So what's the point of the manager? And you're going to pay them more to supervise us when they're not even qualified to do this job.
Did Grandma change, or did she become passive because she knew?
Grandma changed.
Well, some grandmas became passive because they knew later on down in life, as I become more feeble, I'm gonna need.
Is that not a change?
Well,
I'm asking. Is that not a change?
Because it's forced change.
She would have. You want
to make the puzzle fit.
All I said was they changed, and you said they didn't. Did they change? Yes or no?
Or did she become passive?
That's a change.
Okay, that's fine.
Is that not a change?
I'll take that. But because you had to.
Y'all had to, and y'all didn't. What's the difference? Y'all didn't have to change.
We're still strong. We're still
I
strong.
know, 10 toes down, like y'all was 30, 40 years ago. Y'all don't have to change.
We will. We will.
When? How much time we got left? When?
We're talking now,
but do you see in my conversation what I meant? We always feel like we got to come to the end with y'all. It's always, I'll get to it. Oh, yeah, I see that's important to you. I'll get to it. I have all these other things going on. And what are these other things? Kicking it, partying, drugs, music, entertainment. What was these other things? It wasn't us. It wasn't society. It wasn't these organizations we talking about. We don't even have rec centers to hoop at no more. During the pandemic, they took off our rims. Y'all say ain't out there hooping. Them as kids my age and younger. We lost all of that. So all these systems that y'all claim y'all was so busy putting into place, where are they? We don't have Social Security no more. Where are they?
I mean, these are all points, but leaving us out of the conversation when we're still the one making the laws, we're still the ones leading the communities. You can't leave us out of the conversation.
They're leading us off a cliff. There is no more Martin Luther King. Where is that leader in the last generation? They're leading us off a cliff. That's my point. You can say you're leading, but are you leading us in a good direction? Leadership doesn't mean you're doing a good job.
Guess what? The conversation has to start somewhere.
We've already started the conversation. Now it's time to participate, but we can't because we're still having the conversation.
Because
when does the participation start?
Because we keep breaking down defensive walls. Because this is part one, ladies and gentlemen. This is the ugly. We had to, and that's what's so. It's not even sad. This is the ugly. This is the ugly. Because Tim has a 3-part. This is a 3-part conversation, and this today we had to pick the scab to even get under the surface. You know what I'm saying? And so, even though this was a really high octane conversation, thank you, Adrian. This is the ugly, and I don't even think we're done with the ugly right now. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully, I mean, we can get to a point of understanding by next week. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, this was ugly. Yeah, this was really ugly.
And that's what our generation. That's what I hear them saying. That's what I'm saying. It's too late for the talk. I'm not saying there's nothing that can be done. It's too late to talk. We've talked. We have to start participating. People actually have to put this in their conversation. Because just because we're radio personalities don't mean we got it all together. Right. I still can't talk to most of my family.
Right.
So just having the information, that's my whole point with the liquor, with the gun. Just having the information doesn't mean you know it. You have to experience it. And why can we not experience it? Because it's only one side trying to experience it. The other side still trying to talk. The time for talk is over. There's only one conversation that should be had when I come to you. When I come to you next, if we're having another conversation, it's about what changed, or you should be putting that change to happen. If we're having the same conversation again, it lets me know you did nothing about what we talked about. And no, we're not 5 no more. I'm not waiting around to when somebody feels like dealing with it. If you can't deal with it right now when I bring it to your attention, guess how many things I'm gonna bring to your attention after this?
But I think between the generations, the war is, and the war is this. Generation X and millennials are so brother and sisterish, it's a shame. Before the boomers, there was a little gap of maturity. There was a gap, and then the Depression era, there was a gap of maturity. But because X and millennials are so close together, and our music is so close together, and our culture is still so close together, and things of that nature, it's more of a big brother, little brother relationship to where it's just constant. Because if you look at a little brother, or if you look at a big brother or big sister, it's like, yeah, you my big brother sister, but you still, and you may be older than me, but
Right.
you're still I'm not respecting that. You know what I'm saying? Because you doing the same things I'm doing, and you're supposed to be the older person. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I think that the war is a lot, because guess what? I'm a Generation X, but a lot of my friends are millennials. You know what I'm saying? So this thing is so close together because we did have you at 16. We did have you at 17. We did, because we didn't listen to Big Mama. So yes, we were wrong. We didn't take that information. So a lot of these relationships is, I bought the Jordans with my kids. You know what I'm saying? I was listening to the same rap music as my kids. So I'm trying to relate. I did confuse them because, he was Big Brother 1 minute. Nah, he's dad. Like,
exactly.
I contradicted myself a lot. So yeah, that's where the war is because these generations are so close together that we were watching 106 in Park together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I get it.
Yeah. That's the discrepancy. And we're not saying it's the end of the world, but what we're saying, again, you're not qualified to have some of these conversations. You're just not. We don't get on here and talk NFL and science. We talk social, we talk mental health, we talk what we know, we talk what we're experiencing. Right. And that was literally our generation. That I cringe. For the last 5-10 years, I've been combating that on social media and on my own podcast. I hate the term sister, mother, brother, father. That shit is terrible, but that was my generation. We had to take care of the younger kids. We was getting them up, getting ready for school. We were making them breakfast, making them dinner, making sure they did their homework. So to me, this is when our generation started to see why adults didn't want us in these conversations, because you can realize once we get in it, it's not as complex as you're trying to make it seem. Oh, I got to go to work. And you go to work and press a button every day. Like, cut it out, man. You're making your life seem harder than what it actually is. And how would I know? It's because I do everything you do. I make sure the kids are straight. I do homework, and I got to get myself straight. I got to get myself dressed and go to school. I got to get good grades. I got to start thinking about what job I'm about to have. I have to show up for my sports. You know what I mean? Like, so to me,
Tim is still in the building, you guys. He's going to come out and close the show. All right.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying more so like that. That's the discrepancy. And we're not saying that y'all are horrible people and I want nothing to do with you. It's saying don't come into my arena and try to tell me how to perform. You have no idea. And that's, again, not a knock at you. I'm not saying you're inadequate. We only talking facts. Right. I want to talk facts. I don't want to talk feelings. I want to talk facts. And the fact of the matter is we've been parenting before we had kids. We were forced to. We had bills in our names before we had kids. We had to know how to go to the corner store to get snacks before we had kids. So no, I'm not about to sit around and listen to my parents say, oh, I had to do this when I was 10. Do you know my life? I was fully cleaning the house and cutting the grass at 10. My kids don't know how to use a lawnmower. And it's because we don't have a grass to cut, but I'm not instilling those things to make them. And that's what was put on us. Well, you better know how to cut grass. You better know how to get yourself up in the morning. We were being raised to be independent. We were not being raised inside of a family. That's the shit the kid misses. I wish I had dinner with my family. We've never sat down as a family and had dinner. That's something immediately I put into my children. Because I feel the same hurt y'all be feeling. It's bittersweet. You take your kids to Disneyland, the first thing you think is, man, I ain't get to go. But the unconditional love, the sweetness is, this is for them. This ain't for me. I don't get to do that again. I don't get to be a kid and my parents take me to Disneyland. I missed the time. So that's what I mean. A lot of times it is too late. But there's a lot of people who don't want to hold themselves accountable for what you was doing when you was being late. That's why we trying to like review things and change things and start fresh. Nah, it's a wrap. If you didn't raise me as a child, you don't get to raise me as an adult. You don't get, that's a rite of passage. That's what Big Mama earned. She took care of them kids and them grandkids. You don't get to neglect your kids and jump in as a grandparent. Like, that's not realistic. Ooh. And a lot of these kids ain't going. That's what the discrepancy is. The parent thinks the child is mad, but that's them protecting their peace. I can't allow you to let me feel like less than anymore. I can't allow you to let me feel like a butler. Like I just gotta wait on you hand and foot. These things are supposed to be done, but you don't feel they need to be done for me. And then we see why relationships are so lopsided. It's one person who gets all the authority and all the say, and the other person got to shut up. It's one person who has to show the love and show up. The other one, I got you. I owe you. I'll show up for you in a week. That's not it.
Man, this has been the ugly. This has been the super ugly, actually.
Yeah.
This is part one of protecting your peace. Tim brought this to the table, and you can see how sensitive this really is. How sensitive this truly is. Tonight we will be at CJ's. Tim, where you going to be tonight, man?
Kids. I'm taking a break. We got a gala though, Coastside, November 18th. November 18th, we got a gala going on in Coastside. Make sure y'all come out and be selling books.
Absolutely, man. This has been a conversation, a very passionate conversation, and we don't. There's no healing in sugarcoating. There's no healing in talking to Tim nice. There's no healing in Tim talking to me nice, because we can't get to the hurt. We can't get to the trauma unless we put it how it's supposed to be.
Gotta get uncomfortable.
This has been a great show. Join us next week. We're going to at least try to Protecting Your Peace Part 2, the good. And Tim is going to probably give us some instructionals on some healthy ways to protect our peace, some healthy ways. And I want Tim to bring to the table some healthy ways to communicate, some healthy ways to listen, because I think that's where the conversation got really passionate, but then it got off rail because there's a point where we stop listening to one another and we talk. You know what I'm saying? And I want us to listen and to understand so that way we can promote this peace, because I don't want you to have to protect your peace. I want you to be peaceful. I want you to walk in peace. I want you to live in peace. But when we have to protect our peace, that means we're protecting from a toxicity. We're protecting from a trauma. We're protecting from a conflict. So let's have this discussion again next Friday. And Tim is going to show us some ways to where we don't have to protect ourselves from the peace. Part 2, we're going to get to the good. We got to the ugly today. God, hey, I want to show y'all this guy, man. Where's he at? He's here. He's here. That guy is here. Avon is in the building. If you followed us for a long time, you know that me and this man have been partners since 2014, and that's my guy. I had to say I love you, man. This is my guy, and he put out a post that said some things happen with the conversation. That's all you need is a conversation. This is why Tim ain't going nowhere, because me and Tim, we gonna talk.
Oh yeah.
There's no Tim is I know what I'm getting. I like my wolves in wolf's clothing. You know what I'm saying? Hey man, I like my wolves in wolf's clothing. We had it, but we needed time away because we had two egos that were in the way, and a lot of life that was life and in the way. But that's my brother. Both of these guys are my brothers, and we're gonna build this circle the right way. What you are seeing is men working it out the right way. It may look toxic, but men actually working it out the right way, because we have a systematic thing that is against us, and we want to love our women properly. We want to love ourselves properly. We want to love our children properly. We want to love our village properly. So please take these jewels and take this transparency, real time. Take this real time transparency and see where we're going to be next year. You're going to see what me and Tim was trying to do. Well, not what we're trying to do. You're going to see what me and Tim is doing. You know what I'm saying? It's a whole wax on and wax off situation that you guys are seeing. You just seeing the wax on and wax off, but you have no idea the building blocks that we were really building. All right. So again, God loves you and I do too. Have a great weekend. This has been Good Friday with Good Life for Us and DJ Lane Love. We are out of here. Peace. Good show.